Man, Christmas is one of the best times of the year. How could I not love Christmas? It's got everything that every child should love. It's got Santa, it's got presents, it's got the food, and of course the best time is just hanging out with your family and celebrating your life as well as those around you. Christmas is one of the best times of the year, but one thing I always loved to do as a kid was watch the Christmas movies. You know the ones, Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, that's actually the only Christmas movie I watched as a kid. Okay, that's kind of a lie. There was one other Christmas movie that I watched, well, not a lot as a kid, but one that I definitely had my memories of watching, especially when I was watching it with my sisters. That movie I'm talking about is Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. I've always wanted to review something Christmas related for December, and because I've never done it before, I decided, why not review something related to Christmas? And since I love Disney and I love Mickey Mouse, I figured this would be the perfect movie to talk about for Christmas. Now, I know it seems kind of childish for me to talk about Mickey Mouse stuff since that's usually aimed more towards kids, but this guy was my childhood, so how could I not talk about anything related to Mickey Mouse? And considering I'm always welcome to watching and reviewing a Disney movie, I think this is a perfect movie to talk about. Don't worry, I'll get to Nightmare Before Christmas when I want to, but for right now, I figured it'd be fun to talk about this movie instead. So, when I first went into this movie, I was expecting some sort of main story to tie all the characters together, but it turns out that wasn't the case. Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas is a movie that actually has 3 different stories all centering around different characters, like Mickey, Donald, Goofy, etc. The first short is about Donald's nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, loving Christmas so much that they wish that it would happen every single day. They get their wish, but every day, and I'm not making this up, literally plays out exactly the same as last time. Eventually, the boys become so fed up with Christmas that they decide to make things worse the very next day. And this results in them seeing the consequences of their actions on the rest of the family. So to make up for it, they decide to make the next day not only the last day of Christmas, but also the best one that they have ever had. This short is pretty good, actually. I mean, it's not amazing, but I will admit it is really refreshing to see the boys learning their lesson about how Christmas is not just all about the toys and the presents, it's about family and giving. And seeing them work through this is so refreshing. Most stories about the boys would usually just be about them making things worse, or trying to make things intentionally better for Donald, but just ends up going disastrously. But no, it actually goes the traditional way, and I like that. The short does drag on a little bit, and some of the gags get a little repetitive, but I suppose that was supposed to be the intention because, well, we're supposed to kind of feel the same way the boys are feeling, that the exact same things are happening every single day. I mean, I suppose there's not really much for me to say, considering it's actually the shortest of all 3 shorts, but I do really like it. It's not my favorite, but hey, at least it did its job fine. The second short is about Goofy and his son Max. Their next door neighbor Pete tells Max that Santa doesn't exist, and so now he wants to find out if that's true or not. Of all the shorts, this one is actually my favorite, because it dives into a situation that most kids are eventually going to have to face with, whether or not Santa is real. It's also kind of genuinely heartbreaking in some areas, like when Goofy is dressing up as Santa for a family of kids and Max finds out that it's actually him, or when the last attempt of Goofy trying to convince Max that Santa exists and him slowly coming to the fact that Santa might not actually exist is really heartbreaking to me. Like I said, this is probably my favorite short of the 3, because it faces an issue that most people or kids are going to have to face with. The short itself is funny, it's heartwarming, and it did keep me on the edge of my seat to know what was going to happen next. I think this is the perfect short to show to kids, especially if they love Goofy. You know, just like me. Final short is based on the gift of the Magi, and I think most of you know where I'm going with this. This one stars Mickey and Minnie, and both want to get each other a present, but they don't have a lot of money. I won't give anything away, but if you've seen this story before, then I think you kind of know what happens at the end. Mickey and Minnie are honestly the perfect characters to tell this story, and even though this short doesn't have a lot of laughs, I don't think it's trying to be funny. It's actually really effective. Some of the parts really hit me hard, like how both characters are so upset that they might not actually get something from one another. It's genuinely really heartbreaking. And seeing the 2 characters trying out different ways to get the presents and also helping other people is really nice to see as well. In fact, I don't even think this short is that mean-spirited, to be honest. I mean, yeah, Mickey and Minnie's bosses are kind of assholes, but what do you expect? There's gotta be some sort of conflict. Oh hey look, that's Mortimer! That's a classic Disney antagonist. What a great cameo. Then after after all the shorts, it just has this little sequence where all the characters from each short comes out to sing the Christmas songs, and it's a nice way to finish up this whole movie. Oh yeah, I forgot to bring this up. All the stories are tied together with narration from Kelsey Grammer.
3 precious gifts lie under this tree. What secrets they hold? Let's look, and we'll see.
That is interestingly effective. So that's Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, and even though it isn't anything amazing, I think the whole movie is a decent package to show to your kids. It's got a lot of great moments, some great characters, and some great stories that'll definitely hit them in the heartstrings. The animation is really good, especially considering this is a directed DVD movie. They didn't have to put in all this effort, but the fact that they did makes it worthwhile to talk about. There's a couple laughs in there, albeit not much, but I think the whole movie is just very nice to sit through. I think it's a great movie to show for your kids. It's got lessons that they'll need to learn, show them the true meaning of Christmas, and showing them being grateful to one other that isn't them. And the fact that this stars Mickey Mouse and all of his friends will definitely have kids getting into it. It's a really good Christmas movie. Not the best, but honestly, it's not trying to be the best. It's just supposed to be a nice little Christmas movie that I would definitely want to watch every Christmas. Well, that was a really nice Christmas movie. I think that's pretty much all I have for this video. So I guess I'll wish all of you guys a Merry Christmas, and thanks for— what the fuck? Who threw that? I did. Of course it was fucking you, Roz Trump. Alright, what is it that you threw at me? I'm giving you my Christmas present for this year. A Christmas present? Oh, that's so nice of you. What is it? Oh, fuck me. Merry Christmas, bitch. Okay, so I guess Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas was pretty successful for Disney, so that pretty much motivated them to make a sequel. Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, yeah, what a clever name. This one has some differences compared to the first one, and if you're looking at your screen right now, you can probably see what the big difference is. Instead of going for a traditional 2D animation style like the first one, this one opts to go for CGI animation. I mean, it doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look good either. I mean, I know it's directed DVD, so it's obviously not going to be like Pixar quality animation, but still, the characters just look off. Everything about this animation just screams cheap. I do like the way the ducks look in CGI, but other than that, everybody else just looks really ugly. How did Kingdom Hearts manage to pull this off a lot better? So the original film had 3 shorts, this one has 5. But they try to shorten each one to fill in for the runtime. The first short is about Minnie and Daisy performing an ice skating show, and for some strange reason, in this short, Daisy tries to upstage Minnie. Like, why? I get that Daisy is very limited on her patience, but Minnie's her best friend. She wouldn't do something like this to her. If it was, say, a rival that she really hated, then I would understand it, but Minnie? That sounds like something Donald would do to one of his friends, and we've seen that plenty of times in previous cartoons. Seeing Daisy take on the role of Donald against her best friend seems awfully out of character. But I guess they wanted to make things even because then Minnie tries to strike back at Daisy. I'm sorry, but their act of aggression towards each other and their plans to upstage each other just seems awfully out of character. Oh, and to add on top of that, we got our first few glimpses of Donald being abused to hell. Jesus, I thought I was watching a Mickey Mouse movie, not a duck abuse video. Actually, something I never got about this short is, why exactly is Daisy angry to begin with? I mean, some people could say that it's because she's not performing, but is this short trying to show that she's not going to perform at all? Or is it supposed to show that she's supposed to be patient? I never quite understood it as a kid, but if anybody knows, please let me know in the comments. Thankfully, this short does fly by really quickly, so I don't have to talk about it that much. It's just a bad short that awfully makes our characters feel, well, out of character. The second short is about Huey, Dewey, and Louie causing a bunch of shit on Christmas, and Uncle Scrooge tells them that they could be on the naughty list. So they decide to mail themselves to the North Pole to get themselves off the naughty list. Yes, that's actually the plot. And you'd think that because this is a sequel, they would at least elaborate on the first short from the first movie, but No, they don't do that. And I know that not all the stories are supposed to be connected to each other, but considering this is a sequel, meaning people will have actually watched the first movie, this just comes off as really confusing. Huey, Dewey, and Louie went from really caring about Christmas and wanting to make their loved ones happy into wanting to make themselves happy to the point of mailing themselves to the North Pole. Actually, speaking of which, how does people mail themselves to the North Pole? They wouldn't have these public trucks mailing stuff there. I thought the North Pole was supposed to be something secret that only Santa can get to. It just doesn't make any sense. And I know that this is a Mickey Mouse cartoon, but I never quite got that. I gotta say, after watching this movie, I'm honestly gotten so sick of seeing Huey, Dewey, and Louie like this. Thank God the new DuckTales reboot decided to change the characters for the better, because honestly, after watching this movie, I got so sick of seeing them act this way yet again. I also love how this one tries to act like that Santa Claus isn't really a big deal anymore. Remember that Goofy and Max short from the first one where it was such a big deal about whether Santa Claus exists or not? Well, this one just kind of throws that message out the window in favor of actually introducing Santa as a character. 2 shorts in, and this movie is already trying to kill the last one. And the Santa Claus that we actually get in this movie is incredibly bland. Nothing is interesting about this guy. I've seen thousands of Santa Clauses done better than this guy. He's just so uninteresting, and oh yeah, he looks kinda ugly in CGI. I kinda wish this was 2D animation, maybe he'd actually look a little bit better. The short pretty much ends the same way the first short did from the first movie, where Huey, Dewey, and Louie realize the true meaning of Christmas and they get Scrooge something that he's always wanted for Christmas, basically the same ending as the first one, which kind of makes me wonder what was even the point of making this short to begin with if it's just going to use the exact same message and maybe even execution from the first movie. Oh well, this short was a waste of time. Next one. So now we come to our third short, about Goofy and Max. In this one, it's all about Max wanting to bring his girlfriend home to meet Goofy.
By the way, Bubsy Lover, I have a complete hatred and detestment for this abomination. First is the inconsistencies. Alright, let's start with, who the fuck is this girl? This Mona that Max is dating. What happened to Roxanne? I mean, sure, she was absolutely an extremely goofy movie, but she makes a full return in an episode of House of Mouse where Max is dating her, and that was a year before. So what the fuck happened? Oh, and Roxanne's voice actress plays her. What the fuck? Oh, the best part is, according to a source, they said Disney was just too lazy to animate Roxanne's red hair. So let me get this straight. You opted, instead of using a good character with a personality, you got her voice actress to play someone with little to no personality. Fucking perfect. Great. The whole short is about Max trying to impress her. She's hardly in it. She's in a few frames, says like 3 lines, and then she's gone. Disney had no excuse. I'm sorry, but being too lazy is not a proper excuse. This short is just plain horrible, and it should burn in hell! Ah!
Excuse me?
Sorry, my disrespect for a Goofy movie sense was tingling. Whenever something official disrespects anything from a Goofy movie, I get pissed.
Meh, at least the short itself is fine.
I'll kill you right here, right now!
Sure, you can!
I'll get you next year with that new box again!
Taking aside that rant, I'm not joking. I think this short is fine. Yeah, I'm a little bothered by the fact that Max has a new girl instead of Roxanne, especially considering that it's the same voice actress for Roxanne. But this short is probably the only short out of all of them that's actually got a nice tone. Goofy's at least in character in this short, and he acts likable as always. Max is kind of boring, but then again that was also the case with Extremely Goofy Movie, and his girlfriend is just bland. Like, there's nothing special about her. That's the reason why I miss Roxanne so much, because she had such a good personality. But his new girlfriend is just a girl. Okay. There's also a song that plays all throughout this short, and it's really distracting. There's not really much to say because it's probably the quickest short out of all of them. I am kind of bummed out by that because I wish I've gotten to see more of Goofy and Max in these movies. And that's kind of a shame because despite the nice tone, this is the last time we'll ever see Max. Then we come to our fourth short about Donald. This short is, in my opinion, the absolute worst short in the whole movie. The premise for this short is that Donald is really sick of Christmas. All he wants to do is just go home, have some hot chocolate and sit by the fire. He just wants to break from Christmas. But all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Daisy and the boys want to take Donald to the Christmas shopping center. But a few minutes after they get there, Donald ends up destroying a Christmas show because he's just so sick of Christmas being crammed down his throat. Now at first glance, this actually doesn't seem like such a bad idea for a short. We all know Donald can have his temper and he obviously can be very selfish about what he wants to do, but how this short actually handles Donald's personality is really bad. The short tries to make it seem like that Donald outright hates Christmas, but that's obviously not the case, especially since we've seen in the other shorts, including from the first movie, that Donald actually loves Christmas. This short is clearly trying to show us that Donald simply needs a break from Christmas and he just wants to relax. And I know someone will try to bring up the argument that Donald is the nephew's guardian now, so he pretty much has to provide that extra money for them, but you know Donald's not the only uncle for them, right? Scrooge has looked after them plenty of times, and he's probably far more rich than Donald, so why does Donald need to be forced to look after them? It also sucks for this short because, like the last one, Donald's actually in character, but how they use him in this short is really bad. Everybody acts like Donald is so selfish and up his own ass, but Donald's clearly not doing that. He's just trying to take a break from Christmas, and so much commercialism is shoved down his throat. This reminds me a lot of Christmas with the Cranks, a movie that tells you that you have to celebrate Christmas unconditionally, and if you don't, then there's clearly something wrong with you. This short kind of does something similar to that. All Donald wants is a break from Christmas, and he just wants to get away from it for a while, yet when he actually does that, everybody thinks he's a really selfish person and tell him off for it. But truth be told, if I was Donald in this situation, I would also be angry. I love Christmas, but I wouldn't want it shoved down my throat 24/7. Everyone needs a break from Christmas, whether they like it or not. And poor Donald is trying to do that, yet he's treated as the bad guy for doing so. I also love how everybody acts like Donald is really selfish in this short, yet when Donald destroys the Christmas show, Daisy and the boys pretend that they don't even know him, and once he's kicked out, they go to relax and get some hot chocolate as well. Oh, so now all the pandering Christmas stuff is out of the way now that Donald's actually kicked out, and Daisy and the boys even go do the same thing that Donald wanted to do all day. That's not fair. That's really selfish of them. The way this short ends is just really corny. Donald tries to help this choir by singing Christmas better, and everybody comes out to join him. He doesn't even get an apology or anything. They're just like, oh, Christmas spirit is here. Yay! Ugh, what a miserable short. Definitely the worst out of all of them because of how it mistreats Donald and how selfish everybody else seems to act instead of him. Oh, well, at least we've got one last short left. This one stars Mickey and Pluto. They're preparing for a Christmas party, but Pluto wants to put the star on top of the Christmas tree. When he actually tries to do it, the entire room is demolished, and within a few short seconds as well. That was a new record. Anyway, Mickey is understandably angry at Pluto for not listening to him, so he sends him to his doghouse while he drives off to get some more decorations. Pluto feels really unappreciated, so he decides to run away from home. Yep, it's the Super Mario World cartoon problem all over again. I don't understand how I'm supposed to see Mickey as the bad guy in this short. Yeah, he yells at Pluto, but he told Pluto to wait while he was talking to Minnie on the phone. And you can clearly see that Pluto is being appreciated at the start because Mickey still loves and plays with Pluto unconditionally. Look at this scene here. That's not unappreciation, that's love right there. If the short showed that Pluto was doing all of the decorations while Mickey was being stuck up his own ass on the phone and trying to show himself off, then it would make more sense why Pluto would be unappreciated. But Pluto clearly disobeyed Mickey, and he went against his master's orders and ruined everything. So how is Mickey the bad guy in this situation? All I'm getting out of this introduction is, oh, I wanted to put the star on the tree, but my master said no. I don't care, I'm gonna do it. Oh, I ruined everything and now my master's angry at me. Well, I'm gonna run away from home because I feel unappreciated. You see, Pluto's just running away from his problems. And I get it. I know Pluto's a dog, but he's not stupid. We've seen shorts where he's incredibly smart, so this seems awfully out of character for him to do as well. So when Pluto does run away, he ends up in this pile of food, and it's being delivered to the North Pole. What is it with this movie and its incredibly easy ways of getting to the North Pole? There surely must be more security for this, right? All the while Mickey's trying to set up for a new Christmas party, and you can clearly see that he's struggling with all of this. Oh yeah, he's totally the bad guy. And I think the short tried to make it seem that way, because as soon as Mickey comes home, he realizes Pluto is gone and feels he was responsible. Oh no, Mickey, it wasn't your fault, it's just bad writing. Unsurprisingly, Pluto feels homesick while he's spending time with the reindeers, so they decide to help him get home. And then the short just ends with all the characters coming together and singing the songs, similarly to the Better movie. And that's the end of Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. Oh man. Look, this isn't the worst Christmas movie I've ever seen, or even the worst Disney movie I've ever seen, but for a Mickey Mouse Christmas movie, it was really hard to get through. The animation doesn't hold up very well, the comedy isn't very funny, there's nothing festive or nice about this movie. Everybody else is really out of character. The only characters who I felt like were actually in character were Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, yet they're used poorly in this movie. Aside from them, everybody else is really out of character. Minnie's mean-spirited, especially in the first short, Daisy's selfish, Max is boring, the nephews are brats, Pluto's an idiot. Everybody but the three I mentioned feel out of character, and as a result, not only does this not feel like a Christmas movie, but it doesn't feel like Mickey Mouse. This is not the same cast of characters that I knew and loved when I was a child. It feels off. It feels like a parody. It feels like something that Disney just wanted to push out at the last second because, oh, it's Christmas, and our first movie was really successful, so we gotta push out a sequel. God, the early 2000s was a really bad time for Disney. I know a lot of people grew up liking this movie, and if you guys still enjoy it, that's fine, but for me, I'd much rather just watch the first one again. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this year. I've got a lot of stuff planned for next year, but right now, I gotta go celebrate some Christmas stuff. So, until next year, thank you guys for watching this video, keep on playing.